I have so many news reports, stereotypical news reports in my head right now that like it would be like, but I can't say any of them out loud, but it would not be acceptable. I can tell you that.
Okay, enough improv. Let's get back to this. So we've got the story-making headlines.
Yes, it was back then they were known to use yellow journalism, right?
Right.
It's more like you get the facts of the story.
It's like tabloid journalism.
Yes, it very much is. And
those who are aware of, their history lessons know that like William Randolph Hearst
and
was
Pulitzer,
the big proponent of the yellow journalism.
Yes, he was.
And they loved these stories. That's where you get the if it bleeds, it leads.
It is.
Idea in news. They wanted sensational, over the top. It didn't matter so much about facts.
No.
They just wanted the salacious headlines that were going to sell newspapers.
Yes, you had a mixture of fact and fiction in a lot of these supposed, front page stories. Happened in Cuba. I mean, they did a lot.
And a lot of these articles from that time discussing this feud between the Hatfields and McCoys, a lot of the information is not factual. It's not correct.
It's like you got their last names right, and then the rest of it is fiction. It's like fan fiction. It's totally made up, sensationalized to put them in the worst light. Just these maniac, ignorant people. Savages, barbarians,
brutality. I mean, basically, they were acting as though these two families were throwing mortars across the river at each other.
Yeah, like there's literally
nonstop.
Some lines of walls, and they had trenches
and foxholes,
and no man's land between the two.
Right, and most of these incidences took place over some decades.
Right. There'd be years between incidents.
But they were trying to make it out like every day was being in Fallujah.
Yeah, like they're drinking their coffee, looking across at each other like North and South Korea do across the demilitarized zone. I see you over there, you son of a bitch. And damned old Hatfield, I believe he fucked my wife last night.
I think the devil Lance has gone on a new hat. And you know what? I can't afford me no new hat. Fuck that guy.
My hat's old and got a hole in it. I'm going to shoot him.
The Hatfields quickly learned of the bounties on their heads. In an effort to see victory once and for all, a group of the Hatfields and their friends planned a surprise ambush on old Randall McCoy and his family.
So they've had enough. We're going to get them damned old Hatfields once and for all.
This takes place New Year's Day in 1888, and of course, a lot of moonshine involved.
Imagine that.
Drinking on New Year's Eve, heading into New Year's Day. So in the wee morning hours, Devil Ance's son, Cap, and Jim Vance, along with a group of Hatfields, charged the McCoys' home in this strategically plotted sort of combat-style blitz attack.
So, damn, that's wild.
They attacked the McCoy family when they're sleeping.
Oh, that's cowardly.
Old Randall fled, escaping into the woods. His son Calvin and daughter Alifair were killed in the crossfire. His wife Sarah was left badly beaten by the Hatfields, suffering a crushed skull.
So all they managed to do is kill some kids and beat a woman.
Their cabin was set ablaze. Old Randall and the surviving relatives had to hide out in the woods. The McCoys were not prepared to battle the elements. This is winter. It's cold. They don't have any supplies. They don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, you don't run to a hotel in these days. When your home is everything.
Some of the McCoy children suffered frostbite during this time. The McCoys finally made their way to Pikeville, Kentucky to flee the raiding parties.
So they're just on the run for their lives.
Yes.
At this point.
This event would be called the New Year's Massacre. A bounty hunter named Frank Phillips formed a posse which chased down Jim Vance and Cap Hatfield, killing Vance.
So they've had enough. They're going to damn put an end to this shit.
Phillips rounded up 9 Hatfield family members and supporters and put them in jail, but not before killing 3 of the Hatfields.
Well, I'd say they were fighting back, I'm guessing.
A final battle occurred in Grapevine Creek. Ants and other Hatfields were waiting with an armed group of their own. A battle ensued in which the arrests were finally made. So years of legal battles ensued in this Hatfield case, eventually moving all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which resolved that the Hatfields could be tried.
Wow. Why'd it have to go all the way to the damn Supreme Court?
They kept appealing and making a fuss that there weren't legal grounds to this.
And they had a little bit of money to throw behind it.
They were fighting it.
Yeah.
It spanned all these years. The McCoys, they argued, were equally as responsible.
I wonder how long the damn newspapers ran this and made money off of this story.
Between 1880 and 1891, the war claimed more than a dozen lives from both families. At one point, the governors of each state, Kentucky and West Virginia, threatened to have their militias invade the other state in order to end the conflict and make arrests.
Oh, my God. Damn.
The trial began in 1889. 8 members of the Hatfield family and their loyal supporters were sentenced to life in prison. Ellison Mounts, who was believed to be the son of Ellison Hatfield, was sentenced to death. They called him Cotton Top, and he was kind of known to be mentally challenged, and many viewed him as a scapegoat.
Why is he the one that got death?
But he confessed to his role in the crimes.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to throw it out there. They probably just basically coerced him and made him tell, maybe. Or maybe told the truth as he knew it.
Public executions were against the law at this time in Kentucky, but thousands of spectators gathered to witness the hanging of Ellison Mounts, which took place February 18th, 1890. Reports claim that his last words were, "They made me do it. The Hatfields made me do it."
Damn, so even in death, his last words is talking shit about the other family.
Before him, no one had been sent to the gallows for 40 years.
Well, that's not a good thing to be famous for.
The hanging site is currently located in a classroom at the University of Pikeville.
Oh, so they
built a university on top of the hanging site.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I didn't know if they had like a diatribe. Is that right? You know, big scene. Picked up the tree and moved it. Got the rope. Got some people standing over there watching over it.
I really have no idea what you're talking about.
Me neither.
You are so fucking weird. Why don't you just shut up? Let me finish this.
Yes,
story.
ma'am.
God.
Oh, gosh.
Sent to prison were Valentine Hatfield and his older brother. He died in prison of unknown causes. Doc Mahon, son-in-law of Valentine, served 14 years in prison for his role. Pylant Mason, which is a son-in-law of Valentine, was sentenced to 14 years. Rosanna McCoy died in 1889. She was believed to be around 29 or 30 years old. She died of natural causes. The last trial was in 1901, and that is Jonesy or Johnsy Hatfield.
You better say it right.
He was found guilty of murder and served 13 years in prison. In a twist of fate, Johnsy's wife, Nancy McCoy, divorced him and married Frank Phillips, the special officer appointed by the governor of Kentucky to arrest the Hatfields. Johnsy would later be pardoned after he saved the life of Lieutenant Governor William Pryor Thorne. Thorne was at the prison for an inspection and was attacked by an inmate. Johnsy slit the throat of the inmate, thereby saving the lieutenant governor's life.
That's got to be the most incredible governor pardon story I've ever heard.
He died in 1931. Now, as the feud faded, both family leaders attempted to recede into relative obscurity. Old Randall McCoy became a ferry operator. McCoy died on March 28, 1914 in Pike County, Kentucky. He had been living with his grandson because he had become senile. He had fallen into a cooking fire and sustained major burns that eventually led to his death. He was buried in Dills Cemetery, Pike County, Kentucky, beside his wife. Now, by all accounts, he continued to be haunted by the deaths of his children. Of his 17 children, 5 perished in the feud.
Well, damn, I don't blame him. Who wouldn't be haunted by that?
Devil Anse Hatfield became a born-again Christian later in life, finally getting baptized at age 73. He went on to found a Church of Christ congregation in West Virginia. He was an uncle of the eventual governor of West Virginia and United States Senator Henry D. Hatfield. Hatfield ended up dying in 1921. Now, the family members met on June 13th, 2003, and signed a peace agreement, although the feud had ended 100 years before.
That's pretty funny.
The McCoy home place is open for tourism now, and every September there is a Hatfield McCoy Heritage Day in Pike County, Kentucky. So they have like a big festival.
Well, yeah, I mean that was such a big story, and talked about and it did carry on for many, many years, which is pretty amazing.
It really did. And if you're further interested, you want to find out more about the Hatfields and McCoys, there was a mini series made for television. I believe it was A&E that produced it, perhaps, but it was Kevin Costner and Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I heard good things about that.
It was great. It's very informative. I mean, of course, some of it is fictionalized, but it follows the story pretty closely. It's so interesting. And you get to kind of see how the relationships play out, like in real time.
Oh, yeah, between the ones who married each other and such?
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's pretty wild.
And how one cousin marries this one, switches sides. You know, it just kind of adds fuel to the fire.
You know what the surviving family descendants should do of both families?
What should they do?
They should bring the feud back, but in the modern day.
They've actually, there was an appearance on the Family Feud game show.
Oh, well, that's stupid.
Where the Hatfield and the McCoy family played against each other on Family Feud.
I'm talking Facebook fights and posting nudes, like when you marry the cousin. And then y'all have a problem, then you post nudes. But he posted nudes of my little, put her nudes on the damn Facebook. I'm going to shoot him.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm talking about the modern day. Look.
No, I get it. But you go off on these tangents that me, and I know it's not just me, but our listeners too, are probably sitting in their car or they're on the treadmill and they're like, what the fuck is Dylan talking about? And I don't know, y'all. I can't keep him on track. He is so all over the place.
I thought we were done with the story.
This finishes a complete thought, so I don't know what he's talking about exactly.
There is two people out there right now that might know, and I'm not even trying to derail anything because you delivered it through my derailment.
Okay, so you're saying they could have a modern day Facebook fight involving some revenge porn.
Yes, that's what the excitement here is, viewing how the feud would change from the 1800s into the modern day. It'd be stupid online shit nowadays instead of guns. Wouldn't that be wild?
So you're saying you would prefer if it were the guns and not the stupid modern shit?
Oh my God, it's like I'm on the damn news show right now. You're trying to put words in my mouth. No, I wouldn't prefer anyone to get hurt.
I wouldn't want to put anything in your mouth. I just want you to be quiet.
Okay.
Get somewhere and get still.
Well, yeah, I said it.
Here is the story of the Hatfield. Yeah. See, you've got me all fucked up, Dylan.
That's right.
This is the story of the Hatfields and McCoys. Tried to break it down as simply as possible, but give you guys a little background on this very famous feud. Because I think for most of us, we've heard the name, but you might not know all the details.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I didn't know any of those details. Except that about the pig.
You've been listening to Mountain Murders. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Acast, Spreaker, just about anywhere you find podcasts.
I think she's going to smack me, guys.
You can find us on Patreon if you are so inclined. Look for Mountain Murders and access bonus content. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month and get more Appalachian true crime.